Hey everyone, welcome to Jessica Payne Live. I am your host, Jessica Payne, and today we've got an amazing guest. We've got Karen Newland joining us. We'll give it a brief minute or two for you to sign on, but today we've got kind of a jam-packed, about an hour that we're going to talk about some myths around Facebook. But first and foremost, happy Halloween if you're celebrating today. I think you're going to enjoy maybe what we're going to be talking about. If you're spooked by Facebook's algorithm, I think we're here to bring you back to reality and empower you with some tips. So again, hello to my followers all over the world. Thank you for joining live today in advance. And then if you can't, remember, you can always watch this here on Facebook. If you're watching from YouTube, jump over to my Facebook page to see other past episodes, or you can subscribe to YouTube to just continue to get those. But without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce my lovely guest today, Karen Newland. Karen is the founder and CEO of an awesome boutique agency called Your Go-To Gals. Full disclosure, I have had the pleasure of working with Karen as a partner. She's done amazing things for my brand. You might have actually seen her in past live episodes. So today, I'm giving you the floor. You are my guest. Welcome, Karen, to the show.
Thanks, Jessica. Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, sure. Well, you constantly school me on the realities of that scary world called Facebook advertising, or advertising in general, really, because I know you have clients that are exploring the Instagram space as well. So I thought today we could talk about, let's demystify some of that world. One of the biggest frustrations I get from my clients, and then just following the space, is we all have a sense that there's a whole heck of a lot going on at Facebook. And depending on how much you've used Facebook to market your business or your brand, you might be experiencing maybe some pain points, whether you use advertising or not, or how active you are. You might have experienced a drop of engagement. You might have experienced some frustrations where, if you're using the same old advertising strategy, you might be wondering why it's no longer working. So Karen is here for us, you guys, to let us know kind of what works. But first and foremost, I think it's really interesting that you're in this space. What brought you to the world of social media, specifically advertising on Facebook?
Well, so, gosh, let's see, about 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I don't know, I'm a dinosaur, so, a few years ago, I was, had more of a virtual assistant type of business. And I was getting heavily into social media marketing. And I was part of a group. I bought one of Amy Porterfield's programs, FB Influence. And I bought it so that I could develop a relationship with her, because I'd been in a mastermind where the person who ran that knew her and recommended that I do that. Mm-hmm. So, but then I discovered that Amy was not very active in that group. And so I stepped up and started answering questions for the members. There was at that time, there were about 3,500 members, 4,000 members.
Good solid chunk. Yeah.
Yeah, good solid chunk. And so the next thing I knew, about 3 or 4 months in, I get a message from Amy Porterfield. And she reached out to me and asked me if I'd become the paid moderator for that group.
Awesome.
So that was a fun time. I worked with her for a couple of years. And then my business just kind of took a real sharp Facebook turn. And so everything became more Facebook centric. And I'm both creative and logical. And I think to run social media well, or to do Facebook advertising well, it really helps to have both of those sides of your brain clicking.
Right.
And I had been doing custom app tabs, but I love doing those, and people don't do enough of them because it's really valuable to be able to expand your content on your Facebook page and what you have there.
Yeah.
But we're watching the changes in the algorithm. And as you and I know, Facebook is addicted to change.
Yeah, it's impossible to keep up, really. And you and I follow it professionally.
So. Right. And it's constant. It's every day. They changed the notifications yesterday. And, last week I set up an ad where they're doing a test in Canada, and, with moving the conversion objective over to the campaign level. So you have to watch that you select it differently now. And
crazy.
It is crazy. So, we were watching the changes in the algorithm, to answer your question there, and we saw that it was moving towards needing to do Facebook advertising in order to accomplish the same things we used to do organically.
Right.
And so I resisted going over to the dark side of Facebook advertising for a long time.
Sure.
But then once I jumped in, I really love it.
So it's beautiful. So, folks, we've talked about it in the past. Karen here had her business rocking and rolling. She was in the virtual space. What I love about your story is you took initiative. You're like, well, this group is awesome. It looks like I'm just going to start to answer some questions. And I love it because it was from a place of like service, integrity. You weren't like, well, let me see if I can milk this. You were more like, let me see if I can help here. And from that, you became connected to Amy Porterfield. But by the way, I also am a student of Amy Porterfield. I'll put a link to her at the end of this program, but just Google Amy Porterfield. If you have any interest in someone who's rocking and rolling from a professional or personal brand, women entrepreneur, Wonder Woman totally, you'll know who we're talking about, just in case somehow you aren't familiar with Amy Porterfield. She's amazing if you're looking for that. Karen, you talked a little bit about Facebook's, and without going into Facebook's advertising, without going a little bit into the weeds, I think I'd like to use this hour to like demystify some things. I think one of the big myths is a lot of people don't know that you can actually use Facebook advertising for many different reasons. You can actually have different objectives. What are the sort of 3 to 4 top reasons you could use Facebook advertising today? Let's say if I was, as a business owner, what could we do?
Right. Well, so any time where you would use traditional advertising is probably a place where you can use Facebook advertising, especially for small businesses, entrepreneurial businesses. The large businesses, of course, yes, but this gives access to amazing advertising abilities to the smaller businesses at a very affordable cost. It's really the best place that you can dial in your audience at the least expensive price, and get in front of the most number of people. So it's really a great opportunity. And, it has to be done right, or, it's just a waste of money.
Right.
So, but, in talking about how can people use it, we use it to drive traffic to websites.
Yeah, and that's probably, would you say that's probably the most commonly known?
Yeah,
most requested.
And when I say websites, that can look like a whole bunch of different things, right? That could be driving traffic to your blog post, especially if you have what we call a content upgrade, which is an embedded opt-in in your blog post, so that you're also building your mailing list at the same time. You can pixel that traffic, so you put a tracking pixel on there and build custom audiences of people who've gone to your website, whether it's your blog or some other type of web page. So there are a lot of things that you can do within that. So driving traffic to blog posts, driving traffic to opt-ins, so that's technically a web page. We call it a landing page or opt-in page. And that could be for your ebooks or any kind of lead magnet where you're pushing content out and getting in front of the right people because you want to build an audience that you can retarget for other things later. All of those things are traffic. You can drive traffic to webinars. Now, we use a slightly different objective for webinars, and even for the opt-in pages. There you would want to use a conversions opt-in or a conversions objective, because Facebook will optimize the algorithm differently. If you want to drive traffic, which is just people that will click on a link and go wherever it is that you want them to go, that's considered a traffic ad. And that tracks differently than a conversions ad. A conversions ad, Facebook optimizes the algorithm to show the ad to people who will not just click on your link, but who will go and opt in to your offer.
Got it. So it sounds like the first, I think that might turn on a few light bulbs for folks. So I think a lot of us know that advertising can push people somewhere. So depending on what your objective is, it's typically a website, but Karen's just sort of enlightened us that that website can take many different forms. So, and the whole, again, at the end of the day, we have an objective we need to accomplish. So getting people to go where we want them to go and do what we hope they do helps us. So that's a good thing. If you're taking notes during this, I think it sounds like you can not only point traffic, but maybe if you're sitting on the other end of this broadcast, it might be a good thing to jot down or maybe brainstorm where you can point that traffic, because it sounds like from Karen that you can actually, by pointing them to different things, whether it's the actual sales page on a website or just a blog post, that can all be dialed into your advertising strategy.
Right. And you can drive them to local businesses. Mm-hmm. You know, I work with a high-profile chain of burger restaurants in Austin, Texas. You know, awesome. And they're expanding, and so you know we highlighted and launched their online ordering, and really did a push for them on that. And their tagline is that they're kid-friendly, and so you know, and they have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So you know, we really had fun driving traffic to their actual brick and mortar locations.
And I would guess that you probably targeting you guys is obviously, I think, why Facebook works, because Facebook, you can drill into things. So I would imagine for that brand, you were probably looking at family-friendly type of targeting, maybe even families. It sounds like Austin, obviously, maybe geo-targeting, I'm just guessing here, was maybe part of that strategy. So another myth, I think a lot of people don't realize how you can actually drill into location, behavior, interests. It's kind of insane how specific you can get. Are there any, here's just a random question. Are there any behaviors, or has anything ever stood out to you to be like, wow, I didn't know I could actually target people on Facebook?
Yeah, well, yeah, there are. I don't recall exactly what they were, but there's always those little light bulb moments where you went, whoa. Oh, I didn't know I could do that.
The milestones was interesting, where you can the different milestones I noticed was like, you can target people who maybe have just moved to a city. That really stood out. I was like, oh, wow. Or 1-year wedding anniversaries, I think I saw, which is like super smart if you're like a jeweler or.
Right. Or if you can target people who are visiting a location. So if you're trying to target tourists.
Right. So people maybe who posted like, so excited, can't wait to visit, Austin for South by Southwest next year. And I guess if you've posted that, in theory, you can target those people, right?
Yes. And I worked with a gal, because I consult with other Facebook ad experts on their ads, and worked with a gal that is in England, in London.
Yeah.
And she works with a tea company, and they were opening a new location that is heavily visited by Chinese tourists.
Wow. Okay. In the UK, in London?
In the UK. So what we had to do is we dialed in the targeting for people who were visiting but spoke Chinese.
Brilliant.
Because it's and I think that's one of the things that I love, that logical side of my brain, that loves jigsaw puzzles, that really loves the targeting pieces of it, because it's always about, okay, how do we drill down to reach this audience?
Yeah.
Now, having said that, the other thing, flip side of that you want to look out for is you don't want to overthink your targeting.
walk us through that, because it sounds like that's something maybe we do too often.
Yeah, I've seen people drill down to where their audience becomes ineffective. And largely that happens because they think they know more about their target audience than they really do.
I will confess.
So,
but that's why I work with you.
Yeah. So, you can drill down to targeting who you think your audience is, but if your offer doesn't land for them, then, your ad's not going to do well. So, test, 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 that's my mantra. You never know until you test things, and there are all sorts of different aspects of Facebook ads that you should test. Keyword there is should, because I find that a lot of my clients don't always have the budget, elbow room to do a lot of testing.
Right.
That's where having somebody like me with a lot of experience can come in real handy, because we can macro target and not have to do as much split testing.
Yes.
To get you the desired end result. Now, could we get even better results if we had the budget to be able to do split testing? Absolutely. But, we can get dangerously close, and get really good results without having to do that. Although I wouldn't recommend that for, the uninitiated.
Yeah. When in doubt. So as someone who relies very heavily on your expertise, because my side of the house is, I've been in PR since 2003, communications, marketing, digital. On the earn side, I'm fine. When it comes to advertising, okay, that's when I call the bat phone with Karen, even for my own brand, because it's like, while so closely related, they are their own disciplines. And so it sounds like you've revealed another myth that we should bust, and that is a lot of people don't realize how much testing is involved. And that can sometimes translate into, I would imagine for you, setting expectations. People, because that can sometimes take time, especially when you're first starting a campaign, maybe with a new client, where it's like, you just have to give it time to understand where the audience is, where you drill down. And I guess that testing, there might be that expectation that once you pull the trigger, you're going. But can you walk us through kind of that? Because I would imagine that might be a challenge you run into maybe with the, as you call it, uninitiated.
Sure. So if you're testing, if you have the budget to do testing, well, first there's a couple things you need to know. Is the Facebook ad algorithm takes 3 to 4 days to what we call settle in.
Settle in, okay.
Okay, and what that means is that before it starts giving you reliable data back. Because when you set up an ad, you set up the ad with your desired targeting, but then you kind of think of it like a torpedo, right? You pull the trigger, and then the torpedo starts to go, but doesn't go on a direct path. It course corrects. And that's the Facebook ad algorithm. It's further refining your targeting to determine who out of your targeting is really going to click on your offer, going to click on your ad, take that desired action. And that's what the algorithm is about. Now, a very recent change within the last 2 weeks has shifted the way we think about split testing or running ads in general. Used to be that you could do split testing, and if you were split testing one thing, so let's say you were split testing one target audience.
Yeah.
And, let's say you were split testing people who liked Amy Porterfield.
Right.
Then
can you briefly explain what split testing is, just in case folks viewing
Sure.
don't know what that is?
Split testing is when you take multiple versions of an ad to see which one performs better. And when you split test, you could split test things like the image, the headline, the ad text, the targeting, the different interests, the different demographics, men versus women, desktop versus mobile placement.
Got it.
Lots of different variables that you can test. So it used to be if you were split testing, let's say one ad, and you're split testing Jessica Payne against your go-to gals, or Amy Porterfield, you
Right.
could put $5 a day towards that ad and let it run for 4 or 5 days for the ad algorithm to settle in. And then you could end your split test and you could go with that data. Well, 2 weeks ago, Facebook made a really important change to the ad algorithm, and now it's set up so that you really have to shoot for getting 50 results, whether that results means link clicks to your website or opt-ins to your webinar or your lead magnet, but 50 results within that first 4 days, 3 to 4 days, before the ad algorithm will settle in. And if you don't get those 50 results within the first 3 or 4 days, the ad algorithm may never settle in. So what that means, translation, is that we're having to put more money on the front end of an ad.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Good old Facebook. That's one example of the changes Karen was mentioned at the top. So
right.
Thank gosh for experts like you who are on top of that change, because I would imagine, so there might be folks watching right now or later that have experienced a drop off. That could be why, because of this change. You might, give it a Google. It sounds like, look into that. It sounds like you need to drive 50 actions, because that might not be something that you were aware of. So it sounds like more money up front, not a surprise, but it sounds like the payoff, once you are settled in, the algorithm is probably even more sophisticated. So it's almost like you are still making a smart investment, but it sounds like more strategy up front to make sure you're testing a good image or you're testing good copy is going to be worth your while. Got it.
Because the clients are having to put more money up front. So, I used to tell people, I recommended a minimum of $10 a day for an ad. Now I'm telling them in the beginning, I recommend a minimum of $20 to $25 a day.
Yeah, and that can be tough for a small business.
Yeah, because 4 days at $25 a day, you're in at $100.
Right.
But once the ad algorithm has settled in, then you can decide to ratchet it back a little bit. If the budget is an issue, or leave it or ratchet it up. There are so many ways that you can break the ad algorithm. Like, you should only make changes all at once and never more than once every 24 hours. 36 hours if you want to be safe.
That's good. Can you repeat that just so people can take that in, that rule?
So when you make changes to an ad, you want to make the changes all at once, and you want to do it no more than once every 24 to 36 hours. Again,
because there's that delay. So all this translates, folks, to if you have been making changes and not seeing immediate results, it doesn't mean your changes aren't working. It just, Karen is reminding us that everything takes time. So your next advertising campaign, if you haven't already, it sounds like your window of time, it sounds like you either need to get ahead of, if you have a fixed date or fixed milestone that you're promoting, get well ahead of it so that you can account for what's sounding like a longer but more effective time that you should allow for your changes to take place. And it also sounds like you want to budget a little bit more upfront. And I'm just going to show that on the screen so people can know, because that's another question I get a lot. It's like, what's a good advertising budget? I'm sure that's like what you hear all the time. And it's like, there's no perfect number, but I just want to show what you said. So it sounds like starting off 20 to 25 a day will be good for Facebook ads. It sounds like that's not a fixed number, but I suppose that's where you want to start. You could even dial it back. I remember when you and I were speaking when we were running my ad campaign, you can dial it back if you really are hitting the numbers and you've got, so that's not a fixed number, but if you are writing your budgets right now or you are creating capital, it sounds like that's a good thing to keep in mind, the $20 to $25 a day for Facebook ads.
Yes, and another really critical thing relevant to budget and the algorithm is you want to make sure that you don't dial it up or dial it down more than, I've heard a range, but so let's say 25 to 40% at a time.
So don't go beyond that is what you're saying.
Don't go beyond that. So don't dial it down or dial it up more than 25 to 40% at a time. 40% is really the upper end. If you go beyond that, because I had a client one time and his ads were doing fabulous. And so he decided, without consulting me, that he was going to go in and double his ad budget. And the results tanked.
Isn't that interesting? Because he probably thought, I'm just going to pour more money into this puppy.
Absolutely.
And then it tanked. And why do you think it tanked? Was that because, I assume it disrupted the algorithm somehow?
Exactly. It breaks the algorithm. It breaks the algorithm. So it essentially starts it over. So if you wanted to do that, if you had an ad that was doing fabulous, you're ahead to actually duplicate the ad and start it at the new higher budget.
So that's brilliant. Okay, so just to repeat, it sounds like if you're killing it in an ad, which a lot of you probably are, maybe you accidentally dumped too much money, because that's our instinct. It's like, go, spin the wheel, put more money into it. It sounds like Karen is saying duplicate the ad, and if you don't know how to do it, she does. So you're essentially keeping that ad right where it is, but if you want to double down, just create a copy and then play with this version, keep this one, because it sounds like this one's already locked into the algorithm. Facebook's loving it, so don't mess with it, right?
Yeah, don't mess with that. When the new one gets traction, and if it's meeting the same metrics, or higher than the original ad, then stop the original ad, because you're essentially competing against yourself for ad space. So that can actually drive your costs up per result, because you're advertising against yourself to the exact same audience.
Wow, you're schooling me at the moment. So this is hopefully for those of you guys watching, you're starting to get clarity on maybe why you're experiencing some of the challenges that you have, and some of them might just be innocent. This is great. Let's switch gears a little bit. A question that I get a lot that maybe you can answer is like, hey, should I boost or should I do advertising? Okay, so whether you have done advertising or not, all of you have probably noticed on places like Facebook, you write a post promoting whatever. Sometimes Facebook likes to give you that little wink and nudge and say, hey, if you boost it for $5, you can reach 30,000 people. So they're teasing it, but you're also seeing that as an option. I've heard mixed reviews. Should people boost? Does it work?
5 years ago, I would have told you absolutely no, don't. It's a waste of money, because there wasn't enough targeting options within the boost wizard that they walk you through to boost a post. It's gotten much better. There's still not as robust of options for targeting when you boost a post, and you have to be really careful, or the next thing you know, you're boosting it to all of the possible ad placements, and you're pouring a lot of money out that's going nowhere.
Right.
So yes, you can boost a post, but do it wisely. Otherwise, you can actually go into the ads manager or Power Editor if you're know your way around the Power Editor. That's Facebook's actually working to try to merge those two. The ads manager is more for the self-serve end of the Facebook ad business, and Power Editor is for those of us who do Facebook ads for a living. We're people that are running a lot of Facebook ads.
It sounds like boosting could be a nice alternative for folks who aren't in the ad space. Maybe these are the actual business owners or social media managers who they may or may not have a whole other advertising campaign going, but let's say a social media post is doing well. So, because I've heard mixed reviews, so this is important to take. So boosting, yes, but you're saying do it wisely.
Right. Pay attention as you're walking through the wizard. Pay attention to all the options. If you have a saved audience, then you can boost it to that saved audience. So that might be to your page fans, for example.
Got it.
Or to a predetermined target audience targeting. But just to broadly boost it to anybody, their third cousin and their second uncle, it's not going to do you much good.
Got it.
The other option is to go into the ads manager, which does have a wizard in it that can walk you through creating an ad and use the engagement, or post engagement ad.
Yeah.
That's essentially boosting the post, and then from there you can select that specific post, and then you also have all of the robust options for placement and targeting inside of it.
Fun.
Yeah.
All the fun stuff.
It's a little bit more complex, but the end result is typically a little bit better.
Got it. Switching gears a little bit, let's talk about one of the other big changes we're seeing at Facebook. I'm certainly seeing it on my end because my world is around content. And so I'm working with clients to create their brands, launch marketing campaigns, and part of that is writing social media copy, writing social media posts, and then being strategic and wrapping a whole storytelling campaign around what they want to push and promote, and making decisions. Okay, do we shoot a video for this post? Do we go live for this post? Do we do an image? Walk us through what you're seeing in terms of, it's clear that Facebook prefers certain type of content over the other. And I mention this because for folks tuning in, again, one of the challenges you might be facing right now, I've certainly faced it with my own brand, is engagement's dropping off. And we're hearing things like, oh, Facebook prefers video over imagery. Can you kind of demystify that based on just what you're seeing? Is that true? What can we keep in mind in terms of the whether it's the social posts we're writing or the ad campaigns we're launching? Like, can you speak to that at all?
Right. Well, so the first thing I would say goes back to my mantra: test. Test the different types of content. Test the Facebook Lives. Test the videos. Test the static image ads. Because you won't know what your audience is responding to until you actually test it. The other thing that I would say is that don't be seduced by what Facebook wants you to do necessarily.
I love that.
Facebook does prefer video. They prefer, and if you had to do a hierarchy, Facebook prefers Facebook Lives because that's the product that they're really trying to push right now.
Absolutely.
Then video, especially native videos, so videos that are uploaded directly to Facebook.
Right.
And then static images. Now, you and I had talked previously about the efficacy of those.
Right.
And so what happens is that, you can get lots of people to watch videos, the first 3 to 6 seconds of a video, but then they're gone. So,
yeah.
And so what we're seeing, and I'm running some ads for a client right now where we're doing split testing on her static images. We did 3 different static image ads, and then we are currently doing 3 different video ads. The video ads are getting lots of views, but when you look at the important metrics called results.
Oh, those?
Those things, the static images are outperforming the videos in results and every metric that counts.
Okay, so you guys tuning in, you hear that? Karen is schooling us on the reality. That's very important. So it sounds like images are actually killing it, but you would only know that because you tested, right?
Yes, that's the only way that we know that, because and in her particular niche, we would have thought that the videos would have killed it. But here's the thing with videos. Videos either work or they don't work. So they either work really well or they work hardly at all.
What are the ones that don't work? Because I know everyone's probably like, that's probably me.
Well, I think we've all clicked on a video and went, ugh. Yeah, that's a video that doesn't work.
Gut reaction.
Could be, in fact, there's right now somebody who's running a video ad, somebody who, was on Shark Tank, and and it is probably the worst ad I have ever seen. And it's they're running it for a person to promote a person who does ads, which is hysterical.
Yeah.
But the guy who did the recording, the video, he's so stiff and unengaging, and it's just like
I know what you're talking about.
A B movie.
Saw it yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I commented on it, so you look for my comment.
It just goes to show that it's like it is still a frontier out here.
Right.
And it's like we're kind of working off of what we've been exposed to, which for a lot of people, it's like 90s infomercials.
Sure.
So you're not a shocker that one's not great. So, okay.
Yeah, and then with videos, if you don't grab them in the first 3 to 6 seconds, they're gone. Poof. So you have to be engaging and compelling in that first 3 to 6 seconds. So
that's hard.
It is hard. It's very hard because you have a very short period of time to engage somebody. So
volume is not even on half the time.
Exactly. So, but then I've watched, and I'm guilty of that as well. So I get it. But then I have seen people that that are running videos where I've sat and I've watched the whole thing, and it's a 20-minute freaking video.
Same. Sometimes with the volume off, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, but that's because I was either really interested in the topic or it was very engaging. There was something that kept me there to keep me watching it. Yeah. But typically, if you're running a video ad, I tell clients to keep it under 30 seconds in length. Yeah.
Is there, is there a different format in terms of, it's obviously wouldn't be this, a video ad we wouldn't do this for a video ad because this is kind of a talk show format, but have you seen, is there an ad that you like that maybe that has captured your attention? And if so, is there anything, I'm putting you on the spot here, but is there any way you could explain why, whether it was the aesthetic or the subject matter?
Yeah, the one that comes to mind is Brittany Bullen, Bullen. Mm-hmm. She does personality marketing.
So, of course, I'm sure she nailed it.
Oh, yeah, and she has a background as an actress. And it is an awesome video. All of her ads are video ads. But she wears these pink framed glasses, and she's very bubbly and engaging and funny, and so those ads do crazy good.
Yeah.
The other one that I just saw yesterday is Squatty Potty has out a new video ad.
Yes.
And their ads
they're brilliant in their advertising.
Yeah, totally. And I watched the entire thing, and I think that video was more than 5 minutes long, might have been 8 minutes. It's a long video, but it is hysterical. Yeah. And so, and there's another one that I've seen where it's some kind of tape. So it's handyman, and again, it's all humor. Mm-hmm. So the common thread between all three of those is humor.
Right.
So it's funny, they're engaging. Those types of videos do really well. Now, that's not always appropriate for every business, right?
But it makes perfect sense why that succeeds on a place like Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely, because people come to Facebook to be entertained and to talk with their friends.
Okay, everyone tuning in, hear that? Not to be sold to, even though that's why we're all here.
Right. So you want to be helpful and engaging, and good targeting. If you're targeting entrepreneurs, then they're on Facebook to do business. So they're not just there for the fun and for their friends. So, you have to look at your niche. Why is your niche on Facebook? And then, approach them from that angle, just like you would any other type of marketing.
Got it.
Now, the other thing that we're seeing is that people will watch the videos, but then not click on your links.
Talk us through that. Yeah.
Yeah. So just because somebody watches your video doesn't mean that they're going to click through to your offer. And that's one of the reasons why the static images sometimes will outperform the videos, because they see the image. So the hierarchy of Facebook ads is people first look at the image, whether that's a static image or a video. So you want to make sure if it's a video that the thumbnail image that you choose is really engaging.
Yes. And we can see that sometimes on YouTube, where I think a lot of people might spend the people who create YouTube videos are really smart about what they have as the preview. Yeah.
Right. And there are some people that are actually running video ads right now that I think are a little bit of bait and switch, because they'll have a really interesting thumbnail image. It has nothing to do with the video once it starts playing.
It's like clickbait, but visual.
Exactly. So again, the hierarchy though is the image is the first thing. Second thing is the headline, so whatever appears below the image or video.
Yep.
The third thing is the text above the image or video. So it's just like when somebody scrolls down, goes to a website. First thing they do is they scroll down to the bottom. They see the images, scroll down to the bottom, and then they go back up. If they're still interested, they'll go back up and then read through it. So they rarely, if ever, does somebody go to a website and then just start at the top and work their way down.
We jump around based on
not human
what grabs our attention. So again, just to recap, image, headline, then text above the image or video is kind of the hierarchy.
Right. And then what we see is that if we have emojis.
Oh, yeah. Talk us through that.
Yeah. So if you can put emojis, and there's several different places that you can go to get emojis outside of Facebook that will show up in your ad text. But if you have emojis in the ad text, it improves conversions by 12%.
Wow.
Now, my theory on why that is because people are visual creatures by nature. And so the emoji visually pulls them into the text.
Because we're used to seeing it in our own text from friends.
Right. Yeah, and it slows them down because it draws the eye. So it actually draws the eye to the text. And so you don't want to overdo it and turn your ad into something clownish. But you can use it effectively. I do a lot of check marks.
That's right, you do.
Yeah, the fingers, pointing, to highlight something like, join us for this webinar or this Facebook Live, or and then arrows down to click on the button below. Those are just some real basic ones, but they visually draw the eye. Now, the key here, though, is you need to have at least one emoji that's above the fold of the ad. So if you have a longer text ad so that it truncates the text that's above the image, you want to make sure you have at least one emoji that's showing in the top of that ad.
Otherwise, we don't see it.
Yeah, otherwise you don't see it. So then you lose that 12% effectiveness, because not everybody's going to click on the see more.
And this is really a sign of the times, right? Like emojis it sounds like they are absolutely welcome. The data shows that, specific to Facebook. I'm also seeing emojis and ads on Instagram, obviously. It sounds like you're telling us yes, but use appropriate ones, obviously. I would back that up by saying, have a conversation about which emojis make sense for your brand. If you sell insurance, I don't know if a rainbow and a unicorn would make sense, although sometimes the surprise and delight that a simple emoji can be, or the unexpectedness of like certain emojis with certain brands, can add to that humor. So it just sounds like be strategic, be smart. They are welcome. And it sounds like Karen is telling us even placement of where they are in your text, in your ad copy, is important as well.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I'm running a set of ads right now for a criminal attorney. And,
right.
Let's see, he's in New Jersey. And I think even in his ad, I think I have one emoji.
What is it?
I don't, I'd have to go look. I don't remember, but
a part of me wants you to be like, it's a flame, or it's a.
Yeah, it may be
a unicorn. I'm sure it's appropriate.
Arrow down, or to click, for more information.
Right.
But, so I try to get one in every ad, at least one.
Yes. For mine, you did. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. So ads with emojis, that is certainly a sign of the times. I think we're all just going to see a lot more emojis everywhere. Kind of, it's like our modern hieroglyphs, blah, blah. That's how we communicate now. So I love it. Speaking of trends, is there anything else that it's a little early to have some 2018 predictions, but I think that's a good segue into, is there anything else that you're seeing on the horizon that you would advise us to pay attention to, whether it's changes of behavior or like emojis was a perfect example of kind of the lexicon is changing. As business owners, what should we just be aware of in terms of the shifts that are being made in either Facebook's algorithm or what you're seeing? Any headlines for you that you're going to be watching closely in 2018?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. First off, one of the upcoming kind of interesting trends that I'm seeing is that when you are looking at an ad and there's a button that says message or send message, so people are using messenger bots inside of Facebook ads, and those are very intriguing. The results are not in quite yet, but I'm very intrigued because that allows you to instantly engage with people that are clicking on your ad. So that's the action you want them to take, is to click on there, and then you can set up the messenger bots so that it automatically then delivers messages to them inside of their Facebook Messenger.
So walk us through maybe an example of like what that might look like. So let's say would it be something like I click on, let's say you're running an ad. Let's say you're hosting an upcoming webinar, you're running some ads. I'm like, oh, Karen's a genius, definitely want to do it. I've got maybe some questions. I click through the ad, and you're saying through advertising now that a bot, which is essentially my messenger box, will pop up. Is that right?
Right.
And you can actually take the conversation from there, and then based on that conversation.
Yeah, so the messenger bot might say, thanks for your interest in my upcoming webinar. Did you have any questions? Or here's a link to the registration page. Or, so you're starting that conversation with somebody, and it brings it down to a more personal level.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people promoting ebooks, webinar registrations, event registrations, opt-ins for mailing lists, all sorts of different things. So this is an area that we haven't delved into too much yet, but I've seen them used very effectively. And so I think it's very intriguing, something to pay attention to kind of give you a leg up on being like every other ad in the newsfeed. The other thing that businesses, I think, really need to pay attention to, and it's actually starting to roll out pretty quickly, pretty soon, is that Facebook is testing taking all of the business page posts out of the newsfeed and having the newsfeed. So when you go to your Facebook and you click on home and you're looking at your newsfeed, being your friends and your family, posts from your friends and your family, and probably, of course, Facebook ads, but then having a separate news feed called Explore for posts from business pages, organic posts from business pages, more to the point.
Does that include media? So anyone who's so businesses, anyone who is not a person.
Correct. Other than, of course, ads. Right. Part of the reason for this is the space in the newsfeed. Facebook can only show you, I believe that the last time I heard the limit was like 750 posts in a day. Now,
we're only seeing a fraction of that.
Yeah, you're only seeing a fraction of that. That 750 is an enormous amount of content for any one person to digest in a day. But that shift is going to have an impact on the organic reach of Facebook posts. And so we won't know if Facebook is going to, make that a permanent thing, but because there's so much competition for space in the newsfeed, from whether it's organic posts or it's Facebook ads, then that is that's part of the reason, and Facebook's says that they want to give, Facebook likes to be the Disneyland of social media. So
I love that.
They want to give people the content that they're looking for, right? And so since people are on, the vast majority of people are onto Facebook for entertainment and to connect with their friends and family, this is part of the reasoning that Facebook is using for doing this. But from a business standpoint, it also meets their needs to be able to push out more ads into the news feed and to force businesses to advertise, because otherwise their content is over in this other news feed that the vast majority of people aren't going to bother to go look at.
So what is a solution for brands that may or may not be executing advertising campaigns but want to keep their engagement up for like business pages, for example? What would be a solution to make, because we're talking about brand discoverability, really, which has been, I think, a casualty with all these changes in Facebook. I see it a lot more on my end with people who are running. They're killing it at ads. So they might have a lot of traffic to and from and followers, but their engagements drop. Any advice for businesses if this is going to roll out, what they can do?
Well, number one, embrace Facebook ads.
Right.
They are in your future if you want to be effective on Facebook.
Right.
So, and in that regard, either hire somebody like me to help you navigate that, or, get some training.
Right.
And little foreshadowing there, I will have a Facebook ads training program at some point in my future.
Very cool.
So, but then the second thing that they can do is to post strategically. Embrace Facebook Lives, even though, if you're camera shy, like
we are now.
Yeah. So, but embrace Facebook Lives, because that'll go into notification. I always get a pop-up notification.
Yep.
For Facebook Lives. So embrace Facebook Lives. And then I have a pinned post on my Facebook page.
That's right, you do.
Yeah. 2 quick and easy ways to dramatically increase or significantly increase your organic reach.
Yep.
And so that will give you some strategies on how you can still get organic reach within the personal news feed. So I don't want to give away the whole show there, because I want people to go over and have those.
Of course.
Because that's an ebook that walks you through step by step how to do those strategies. But there's a posting strategy that leverages your personal news feed, from your business news feed or your business page, but then also leverages the power of groups, Facebook groups.
Mm-hmm.
And if you use those, when I use those 2 strategies, it increases, and this is no exaggeration, I've tracked this over and over again, it increases my organic reach between 1,000 to 10,000%.
That is amazing. So you guys, I've just linked to that ebook, and then also make sure to follow Karen. That's her handle here on Facebook. If you're watching this, then you're either on her page or she's actually tagged. And it sounds like it's the pinned post. So if there's one thing you do after this, of course, watching all the way through, is to go over to Karen's page, click on this link, because it sounds like you've got 2, and then it sounds like anybody can do it. Read through the article, download, check out the ebook, and it sounds like there's 2 proven strategies that you've laid out for people that they can start doing today.
Yes, absolutely.
Great.
Now, that won't replace your having an advertising strategy.
Right.
But it will help to compensate for that drop in organic reach.
Okay, you guys. So that's your homework assignment. I'll leave your handle up a little bit more. We're kind of coming to the top of the hour. We've hit on a lot of things. So just to recap, you guys, if it makes sense, and I love that these live videos are recorded. So if it's too much information, you can watch it right from the beginning again. Karen's really dropped a ton of knowledge on us, everything from the ins and outs of why advertising is working, what we can expect in the new year. It sounds like you've shed some light on maybe some things we're probably doing wrong that we shouldn't be doing, and ways we can improve our advertising. Karen, what's coming up for you in terms of, now that we're all following your page, we're going to check out your ebook, but what's coming down the pipeline for you that we should pay attention to? And I'll put your website up here as you explain that.
Yeah, so I have been super busy helping people in a couple of key Facebook groups with their webinar ads, their list building ads, and their webinar ads. And so and I'm grateful for that, because I love doing it and I love helping people with that. But I'm also working on creating a Facebook ads training program. And I don't have a launch date for that yet, but it is upcoming. And this particular training program is going to be specifically geared for people that are launching their programs, products, and services, e-courses, via webinar launch funnels.
Got it.
So it won't be the be-all, end-all of Facebook ads from A to Z, because I laid out that course one time, and nobody wants to take that course, and I don't want to create it because it's way too much.
No, they might as well hire someone else to do it. But it sounds like you are going to create something that is a tool that, frankly, anyone can actually master with practice. So giving them a little bit more control, or even just an understanding, it sounds like, of this crazy world that is right. Advertising.
Yes, it will be sufficient that you could take that, even if you're not using a webinar funnel, you can take that same information that's in there and craft that to meet your specific brand or company's needs.
Right. I suppose if you are driving traffic anywhere, then you can still apply the same rules. So
correct.
Very, very cool. Well, you guys, we are going to sign off momentarily. A couple of reminders to you. Again, watch this all the way through. You can follow Karen here on Facebook. You can click over to her website where you can get in touch with her directly. If you need a master wizard in advertising or virtual, she has an amazing virtual team with virtual support, whether you're launching a webinar or not, or just simply, need a brain. She can be your brain trust as your consultant. I full disclosure, I've worked with Karen before. I absolutely trust her with my brand. She gets it, and she really is a true partner in collaboration. So whether you want her to own everything or really be your partner in crime, she really has something for you. And Karen, something I've always noticed is you are so helpful, because I belong to some of the groups that you are in, and you always seem to sort of bend over backward just to send a link to someone, answer a question. And I think, like, from a personal brand standpoint, not that you do it with that in mind, it's just like, and I've said it before, you have such integrity, and I think it's all about us at some point supporting each other, right? Not everything needs to be behind a paywall. That's why we're both on today, live for free for you. Again, Karen's got some great free resources for you to check out. I think it's the more we support each other in understanding this, the better, right?
Absolutely. I know that anytime I can help somebody out inside of those groups, I'm helping more than that one person. There are a lot of other people that have that same question.
Yes.
And I also know that then when they have other questions, they'll come back to me.
And it always comes back to you. I mean, it really does. Whether that's your intention or not. There's a phrase I use a lot, and it's inspiring action. And in everything we do, can we inspire some sort of action, and can it ideally be positive? So I feel like, and that's kind of where this conversation started. You saw an opportunity to help out in a group, and you just took it upon yourself to be helpful and to show your value, just to help answer questions. And lo and behold, it kind of opened up this whole new world for you, really.
Absolutely. And really that is the path, right? As I just stepped up to be helpful discovered, how much I actually really knew about Facebook marketing, and learned more. And sometimes I'm just a faster researcher than the person who asked the question.
Yeah,
Facebook is changing so much all of the time, whether it's the platform or the advertising end of it. So you may know something today, but tomorrow it's changed, so you have to like figure it out. I just always joke and say, Facebook moves the cheese, we have to go find it.
I love it.
So
I love it's so true. This world is changing so much, and again, you and I follow it professionally. So just quickly, speaking of inspiring action, I have a free ebook right now you guys can download. I got a question last week, which is why I'm bringing it up today. I've got a free ebook out there that is how to inspire action on social media in 5 simple steps. Karen knows all and well about it. And it kind of speaks to, whether you have whatever sort of objective on social media, whether it's to drive sales or just start conversations. This ebook is free. It's on my page. I've just linked to it in the comments. So if anything, download that today and you can actually start to implement those practices. But again, the purpose behind it is, or the reason we're here today is like, just put purpose behind every second you spend on social media, whether it's advertising or content. You're going to see better results. You're going to see greater success. And for me, it's like you're going to have that greater fulfillment, if you just get in front of it. It's good old-fashioned strategy. But so take a look at that ebook, download it, and let me know of any questions. We could talk about this all day. We are at the top of the hour, so I suppose we should sign off. Karen Newland, thank you so much for joining us today. If you guys have any questions for Karen, you can always reach me through my Facebook page or hers. Send me an email or a DM, certainly. But thank you, everyone, for watching Jessica Payne Live. Tune in next week. Karen, happy Halloween.
Thanks. Same to you.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Signing off. Bye.